Friends, it is time to resume our reading of the book of Esther. Good morning, Linda. We are starting chapter 8 this morning. So we are down to our last 3 chapters, including this. This book has 10. Let's see here. Let's pull up the big picture. So here's the big picture. Remember, there are 2 forms of Esther and we're reading from them both. There's the Hebrew version, which is shorter than the Greek. This big picture shows the Greek, which includes everything that is in the Hebrew, but also has some extra pieces. So we're starting chapter 8. There's been these 2 banquets. Haman, who has sought to destroy the Jewish people, the queen's people, has fallen himself. He has been put to death. His ways have been stopped. The queen and her people have been saved. Mordecai has been raised, elevated, well, is being, rather, raised and elevated to the position of authority once held by Haman, and together Queen Esther and Mordecai, the king's assistant, the king's servant, who has the ability to speak and to act in the name of the king, will save the people. So here we are. There's actually 3 parts to chapter 8. Okay. So yes, Esther and Mordecai plan to reverse the decree. Mordecai is decreed to save the Jews, and Mordecai is elevated. And this is going to be one of those spots where the Greek text goes into a longer version than the Hebrew text, because that decree, well, it doesn't. The Hebrew version includes reference to the decree. The Greek version includes the text of the decree. Good morning, Mom. All right, friends. There we are. There's what was before us. Let's jump in and read. Let's pull up the timer and switch over to the text. The left-hand column is a Jewish Bible, the complete Jewish Bible. The right-hand column is a Christian Bible, the Common English Bible. Jewish Bible, the Hebrew Scriptures. We'll start reading there. When we get to a point where there's a Greek edition, we'll jump over to the other column and continue through the Greek text that is unique before hopping back over to the Hebrew Scriptures column. So, friends, let's read. And keep in mind, Jewish biblical language doesn't always match up to what is familiar to our ears. So when we come into moments that sound different or are different than what our Christian ears are accustomed to, I'll point that out. Interesting thing is, if I were to have the NRSV of the Greek text up, you would see a third option for the name of the king of Persia. The Jewish Bible refers to him as Ahasuerus. The Common English Bible refers to him as Artaxerxes. The New Revised Standard Version. Oh, now I'm doubting myself which one it is. The New Revised Standard Version of one of the two, I forget if it's Greek Esther or Hebrew Esther, refers to the king of Persia as Ahasuerus. I think it's the Hebrew. There is a way to check that. I could just scroll over. Yes, it's the Hebrew. There it is. King Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus, Artaxerxes, Ahasuerus. One and the same. Okay, let's read. That same day, King Ahasuerus gave the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Esther the queen. Also, Mordecai appeared before the king, for Esther had revealed his relationship to her. The king removed his signet ring, which he had taken back from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. Then Esther put Mordecai in charge of Haman's house. Again, Esther spoke to the king. She fell at his feet and begged him with tears to put an end to the mischief Haman the Agagite, Agagite? Oh, what do you know? It's not actually listed in the Common English Bible here. But Agagite, remember that from the past. Haman the Agagite had caused by the scheme he had worked against the Jews. The king extended the gold scepter toward Esther, so Esther got up and stood in front of the king. She said, "If it pleases the king, if I have won his favor, if the matter seems right to the king and I have his approval, then let an order be written rescinding the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hamdata the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews in all the royal provinces. For how can I bear to see the disaster that will overcome my people? How can I endure seeing the extermination of my kinsmen?" King Ahasuerus said to Esther the queen and Mordecai the Jew, "Listen, I gave Esther the house of Haman, and they hanged him on the gallows because he threatened the lives of the Jews. You should issue a decree in the king's name for whatever you want concerning the Jews and seal it with the king's signet ring, because a decree written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring can't be rescinded by anyone." The king's secretaries were summoned at that time on the 23rd day of the third month, the month of Sivan. Note, the Greek version says the month of Nisan. Passover. Hello. Actually, just before Passover. Remember, Purim is just before Passover. And a decree was written according to everything Mordecai ordered concerning the Jews to the army commanders, governors, and officials of the provinces from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces, to each province in its script, and to each people in their language, also to the Jews in their script and language. They wrote in the name of King Achashverosh and sealed it with the king's signet ring. They sent the letters by couriers on horseback, riding fast horses, used in the king's service and bred from the royal stock. The letters said that the king had granted the Jews in every city the right to assemble and defend their lives by destroying, killing, and exterminating any forces of any people or province that would attack them, their little ones, or their women, or would try to seize their goods as plunder. On the designated day in any of the provinces of King Achashverosh, namely the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar. We get a Greek edition here, which goes how long? Okay. Okay, there's the beginning. This right here is where we will pick up. And I'm guessing we're probably not going to actually pick up and resume there. We may just read the edition. We'll see. We're a little under 3 minutes on the timer. So here's the text of the letter to the provinces, written by Haman and Esther, sealed with the king's ring and seal. Written below is a copy of the letter from the right-hand column. The great King Artaxerxes writes to the governors in the 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, and to those who are loyal to us, greetings. Many people who are greatly honored owing to the immense generosity of their benefactors become overly ambitious. Not only do they seek to harm our subjects, but they even attempt to scheme against their own benefactors, since they are unable to manage their pride. Not only do they fail to exhibit gratitude among people, but encouraged by the boasts of people who know nothing of goodness, they even suppose they will escape the judgment of the God who sees all. Often, many people in positions of authority become accessories to the shedding of innocent blood because of the influence of friends they trusted to manage their affairs. They suffered terrible misfortunes as a result of the cruel lies of those who take advantage of the innocent goodwill of rulers. Now, this can be seen not so much from older accounts that we have inherited, but from what is right before your eyes. Consider the ungodly things that have been done as a result of the corruption of those not worthy to hold power. But looking to the future, we will make the kingdom peaceful and secure for all people, adopting changes and settling those matters that come to our attention with a fair reply. As for Haman, Hammedatha's son, a Macedonian, he was not Persian, and was far removed from us in kindness. Yet we warmly welcomed him. He gained the goodwill that we have for every nation to such an extent that he was publicly proclaimed our father. All worshipped him as the person second only to the royal throne, but when he could no longer hold his pride in check, he made it his business to rob us of our leadership and our life. With lies and tricks, he called for the destruction of Mordecai, our savior and constant benefactor, and Esther, our innocent partner in the kingdom, together with their whole nation. He thought that by these methods he could render us helpless and turn the Persian Empire over to the Macedonians. But we find that the Jews whom this accursed man wanted to destroy are not criminals, but are governed by just laws. They are children of the Most High, most great, living God, who has guided the kingdom on the best course for us and for our ancestors. You will do well, therefore, not to act on the letters sent by Haman, Hammedatha's son. Haman, who devised these things, has been impaled at the gates of Susa, together with his entire household. The God who holds power over all things swiftly passed this fair judgment on him. And you should publish a copy of this letter in every place for all to see, to allow the Jews to live by their own customs and to assist them so that they can defend themselves against their attackers in the time of distress on the 13th day of the 12th month Adar. God, who rules over all things, has made this a joyous day for his chosen line rather than one of destruction. As for you, celebrate it with feasting as a special holiday among your festivals, so that it will be for us and for all Persians of goodwill a memorial of deliverance, both now and in the future. But for those who plot against us, it will be a memorial of destruction. Any city or region without exception that does not act accordingly will be completely destroyed by fire and spear. This city will be made uninhabitable, not only to humans, but also. We had a very brief hiccup. We're almost done, too. All right. We were into verse 24. So we'll resume it. We'll restart verse 24. Any city or region, without exception, that does not act accordingly will be completely destroyed by fire and spear. This city will be made uninhabitable, not only to humans, but also to wild animals and birds for all time. Jumping back over for a brief closing moment. Right there. A copy of the edict was to be issued as a decree in every province and proclaimed to all the peoples, and the Jews were to be ready on that day to take vengeance against their enemies. Couriers riding fast horses, used in the king's service, left quickly, pressed by the king's order. And the decree was issued in Shushan, Susa, the capital. We're going to pause there. Good morning, Anthony. All right. Friends, thank you for reading with us. Have a blessed Friday.